Hi, this is a short video for Donnie Co. I have your computer in here. I am doing a test on it and it's actually running perfectly. I have in the screen all the values from Diacom, and as you can see we have 728 RPMs. This is injector number one and the coil signal. Um, we have in here, as you can see, all 8 injectors are firing perfectly. Um, I don't know what else to say. There's no fault codes to go by, so the problem most likely will be on the harness. I can also checked I already checked in here both fiber reference that I can see which are supplying for sensors are good too as well. Sensor ground, sensor power, computer IEC, as you can see, is active and working good, and that changes with throttle position. You're going to see how that light flickers now difference, and that is all dependent on how much throttle, which I am doing in here, I give, and that makes a change in there. Um, Let me just go back down to a normal value, 20%, that's around there. hmm I can also change the injector milliseconds if I change the manifold pressure sensor, as you can see, and it's responding perfectly. These are just tests that I am able to do here. Again, this cannot be done in the view in the boat because it's obviously a fixed value, not on the simulator. But I can see that all injectors are firing. They're all giving me around the same milliseconds, which is perfect. And we have the ignition coil signal. It's nice and clean. The oscillation is for the injectors left over. That means that all the drivers are good. And when here we have the signal, it goes over to the ignition coil or ignition module, and everything is good. So again, your computer test out as good. I will be contacting you shortly for um, Hi Donnie, Mike again. I want to record a video of what you can test on your boat since, as you can see, I have now reconnected the computer and it's running fine every single time. One thing that brought my attention is reading the information from the scan report from this Verve Marine. It says that all the injectors were shorted or it had a code for shorted and they erased it and they went away. And then ECM will not perform injector or spark fire test. Um, Not what is happening in here, so it's being possible. One thing that I want to address is the spark test in here. This is a single coil. Oof. Yes, this is a single coil that fires for, or a single signal that fires on an injector ignition module, and then it fires the coils. Um, I have, as you can see, the computer running. I'm going to explain you what I have in the screen right here. I got messages coming to my phone. That's probably a little bit you're going to hear in there. But all right, so channel blue is injector number one. Channel yellow is injector number two. In the red, I have the crank sensor signal, and in the green, the cam sensor signals. This is things that whoever works on the boat is going to have to check, and also all the powers, all the grounds, and so is also the fiber references. Fiber references, they need to check that on sensors. They can do that with a multimeter. These signals, they're going to need an oscilloscope. They can use an oscilloscope like this, like picoscope, or there are some scanners like this top down in here. They have an oscilloscope module that you connect via USB, and then you can see all that kind of stuff. Only way to see signals like that, because if they connect a multimeter, all they're going to see is the average of that sensor voltage, which is in this case, let's say 5 volts, but it's pulsing like this, so it's going to show them 2.5 volts. So they cannot really see the waveform, if it's dropping, if it's good or not. They have to check again, powers and grounds. Main signals for where your concern is the cam and the crank sensor signals. Without this, the computer will not run. The computer is fine, but if it's not getting the signals, it will not run the boat, right? All right, so going on to the injector tests, I want to show you, I have right now prepared the injector test. In order to run every injector, it can be run only one time, and then you need to run the engine again. So I'm going to turn the engine off, and you're going to see right now the signals stop. All right, so I got an alias in here just because of time. Let me just change the, it's too long of a time in here, and it's creating a little bit of a glitch because of the trigger, but that's just injector, I mean, sorry, oscilloscope setup. But yeah, so if I run injector one, we're going to see that on the blue channel. I'm going to stop the capture. Hmm, let me run this a little higher. I'm gonna run the computer again because otherwise it's not going to let me do it. Oh, I got it to stop. Want to make sure that we are caching that. Gonna shorten the time so we can see that signal a little better. And these are things that we need to play sometimes as we are setting up as an oscilloscope to make sure that we can capture that. So one more time, injector one. Yep, right there it was. See this, we can see that activation, and it's going to fall probably in between windows. But yeah, we can see that is I am asking the computer to run that injector for 19 milliseconds. You see this is on time, so it's coming on. So again, in order to run, because if I try to run now again this test, let's see if I try to run injector number two, it says cannot start the test. Please run the engine for 5 seconds to clear the unburned fuel. So obviously, if they cannot start the boat, they cannot perform this test because it needs to be run every time in order to run the second injector. So I run the engine again, turn it off. Now we're going to see the response in the yellow channel. So let me make this one smaller. I'm going to change the trigger to the B channel. Oh, sorry, in this case, it's actually D. Again, this is just settings on the oscilloscope, but then we're going to try that. I'm going to put it probably here. Oh, I got it as stop. You see right here, it says stop. Again, let me run this 1 second. I'm trying just to help you. Computer again is running perfectly. Nothing wrong with this. All right, so now we're running injector 2, and we saw that right there, so I can stop it. The reason I'm stopping is to go back and see the signal. But yes, we can see that we got perfect, and I can measure that. That's the nice thing about having an oscilloscope is that I can actually drag cursors to measure time, voltage, etc. Right? So I can see that this run exactly for 1902 milliseconds. What am I commanding? 90 milliseconds. The computer has full control of injectors, spark, everything is working 100%. So they're going to need uh, a tool like this because it's the only way they're going to be able to check the cam and crank sensor signals and see why it's not running. For this test, which is a little concerning myself, and that's why I have these two other channels. See the red and the green, every time I fire the injectors, they're not running. So the computer doesn't need neither the cam or the crank sensor signals, which in this case, this is a simulator, right? This is like all the signals from the sensors moving on the engine, and then the computer takes those signals and then send the control for the coils and the injectors, which here are the actuators. Um, but as you can see, in order to run these tests, I don't need those two signals. I'm going to repeat this again on that yellow channel. So let me run the computer, turn it off. Let me make sure the oscilloscope is running. And we're going to run this again. I want you to see the red and the green as well. Yeah, you are in. We got the signal right there. So I can go back. I stop the capture and I go back. We got exactly 1902 milliseconds. That is perfect, but nothing in here. So when he's telling me, or whoever technician was, that they could not run the injectors test, it's probably because they tried one, they didn't, they were not able to see it, and now the computer is blocking them because in order to go again, they need to run the boat, and that is not happening because they cannot start it. They cannot start it. So yeah, Spark. Let me exit here. During this test, backfiring a central flame can occur with vapor, blah, blah, blah. Let me see. Please follow all engine and boat manufacturer safety. You see, this is they say they cannot start this test. Yeah, this is not a test for this computer. Even though it has a test in there, this computer doesn't have individual coils. This computer has one signal for an ignition module, and then that will send a signal for the distributor and etc. through the distributor to the cap and then to every single every single spark plug. So this test will not run because it's not meant for that. And as you can see on this first video, I show you the activation of the coil, and you can revisit that video. Again, this is trying to help you on the mechanic. Things again that they need to check is all the powers and all the grounds, fiber references, and the TPS and the map sensor. They are three-wire sensors. They're going to have a power, a ground, and a sensor, signal. That power is a fiber reference. So they can just unplug the sensor and check it out, or they can go with a needle tip like the one I have in here behind the connector. You'll see this is really fine, and they can go behind the connector with the sensor plugged in and then check that signal, check the power, check the ground, and check the signal. Looking at the report that they send you, I don't suspect that they have an issue with the fiber reference, because if we see here, EGT switch input voltage, fiber reference. Then we have three sender voltage, fiber reference, map sensor voltage, 4 volts. So I think the fiber reference is good. Power and ground, I think they're fine because they have communication. I will go straight to the cam and crank sensor signals and sensors, sorry, to check their power, their ground, and their signal back to the computer. And they might going to have to check at the sensor. Let's say this is the sensor, and then at the connector in the computer to make sure that that signal is getting to the computer. That is very important. Hope this can help you and your mechanic to do some tests in the boat and then being able to figure out what the issue is. I do have diagnostic service that if they need guidance and can help them to make your boat run and work again, I have that service. It's $250 an hour. If they need it, I can help you online. I can do TeamViewer on a computer, so I can check their scanners and or a Zoom video conference. So just let me know what you need, and I'm here to help you. As usual, you're in good hands. Thank you for your business. See you next time. Bye bye.